with the first reading today, I was just struck with this idea of Jesus as the true high priest, which is the whole focus of Hebrews. He obtained so much of more excellent ministry as he is a mediator of a better covenant and exacts better promises. And he makes reference to how the other priests, they worship in copy and shadow of the heavenly realities, where Jesus enters the reality, the real sanctuary, and worship. And I was thinking just about what the ancient sacrifices were about, where Almighty God brings the people of Israel out of Egypt in order to worship him. That's what Moses went to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go 3 days' journey to worship God, to offer sacrifice." And after some of the plagues, Pharaoh says, "Well, okay, you can offer sacrifice, but you have to do it here in Egypt." And Moses said, "No, if we were to offer it here in Egypt, we would be, killed, stoned, run out, because they would be offering sacrifices which would be abhorrent to the Egyptians. Namely, they'd be offering bulls and calves and things like that, things which were signs of the gods that the Egyptians worshipped." Now, Israel had been in Egypt for 400 years, and they had taken on all of the culture of Egypt. And so God brings them out and sets them up and says, "You've got to get that idolatry out of you. And so you have to start sacrificing these things that heretofore you would have worshipped." To kind of pull it out of them. Well, okay, so Moses goes up the mountain, you know this story, 40 days, and then Aaron and they're all saying, "Well, where'd Moses go?" And so they create the golden calf, right? Right, one of the Egyptian gods. One of the Egyptian gods. And from that, with their sin, then, okay, God doesn't just give them the 10 Commandments, now there are all these other laws. Why? To help them break free from the idolatry of Egypt. And then after 40 years of wandering in the desert, what happens? They keep turning back and turning back and turning back, and so God keeps giving them more and more laws to say, you need to break free from that idolatry. Why? Throughout the Old Testament, we hear God saying, "I don't desire to eat the flesh of goats or drink the blood of bulls. That's not what makes me happy. I want your hearts. I want your love. But I have these sacrifices to break you free from that." Now, Jesus comes and he says, "I'm offering my whole self to Almighty God. I don't need to offer myself over and over and over again like the other priests as sin offerings for themselves and for the people, as we heard today. Rather, I offer myself once for all." And so he no longer is taking the worship of copy and shadow, but of the true worship in the sanctuary before Almighty God. Now, here's where we enter in. Even though we come and we celebrate Mass and seem to be offering that sacrifice day after day after day, we're not. It is only one sacrifice. The sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. And every day we come from time to enter into the eternal moment, the one offering of Jesus. We don't offer different sacrifices every day. We offer the same sacrifice that one time. But we take our time, we get out of time and enter into the sanctuary, the true sanctuary, We participate in what Christ is doing, as I said this past weekend in talking about the Mass. If only we had eyes to see, we're a quarter inch from heaven. If only we could pull back the veil, we would see we have entered into the sanctuary. And the sacrifice is not a new sacrifice every day, but the one eternal sacrifice. We don't do this in copy and in shadow, but rather we do this in sign, taking part in the reality that we cannot see. So as we enter into these mysteries today, let us ask God for that grace, because it's so easy, because we do this day after day after day. We can get this can just become normal rote habit. Everything we do, we can forget the incredible gift that we get to participate in heavenly worship. And so we ask God, give us the heart to realize, give us the mind to understand, give us the eyes to see how we are entering into divine heavenly worship, how we leave the world behind as you raise us into heaven with the angels and the saints, worshiping in the one sacrifice of Christ.